Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Cardano and its native token ADA. We're going to be providing a general market update. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also stake your ADA with the ITC3 stake pool. So now you have the ITC3 stake pool. The other ones are close to saturation. So if you are new and you're staking ADA, make sure you go do it with ITC3. One of the commonly asked questions is it eligible for the Sunday Swap ISO? As you guys know, Into the Cryptoverse stake pools applied, or we were voted and we came through the clutch, and we are going to participate in the Sunday Swap ISO. If you want to receive some of their tokens when they do their distribution, then make sure you go stake with ITC, ITC2, or ITC3, but ITC3 is the one that is nowhere near saturation right now, so I would recommend that one. And it is eligible for the rewards for Sunday Swap when that does take place. All right, so to answer that question, yes, delegators to ITC3 will also receive the Sunday Swap rewards. So ADA, over the last several months, has been bleeding some. Okay, we know this. It's really no surprise after the launch of smart contracts. It's not like I was overly optimistic in the short term. We knew we needed to work some things out. We're still in that phase where I think ADA could turn around at some point and break back to the upside. Now, if we look at the bull market support band, we are below it. Okay, so that's an issue, and we like to get back above it. It ranges from around 191 up to 207. All right, so we have a ways to go to get back to that point. But one of the things we can look at is the short-term bubble risk. And I want to actually look at this not only with respect to the US dollar, but also with respect to Bitcoin, because it does tell an interesting story. So if you go look at the short-term bubble risk on this, you can see that when ADA first made it to this major milestone up here of about $1.30 or so, that was when the short-term bubble risk got really high. And we know that ADA did go above that, but it was such a quick move in a relatively short period of time that it actually hasn't gone that far above those levels for the duration of the year. I mean, it did put in a little bit more than a 2x after that point, but it was sort of long and drawn out. Right now, the short-term bubble risk, meaning the extension from the 20-week SMA, we're below it. And you know, the overall market, I would argue, is still generally bullish, considering that Bitcoin is technically in an uptrend. And I mean, this is sort of a shorter time frame with Bitcoin. I'm looking to see if we can, break this. But if we go look at, say, the weekly time frame for Bitcoin, again, technically we are in an uptrend. And so Cardano right now, its valuation against the US dollar is below its 20-week moving average. So we have a lot of work to do. I mean, I think a lot of people are sort of waiting to see what's going to happen with the Cardano ecosystem after we get more dApps and whatnot launched. But look, it's a waiting game. I think it will come through in the clutch, but we still have a little ways to go. Look, if you look at the short-term bubble risk on it, we've been at this level before, not even as quite as bad. Another time was back over here in July. This was at the local bottom in July. We also hit it back over here in November of 2020 as well. So we've sort of seen this light blue area during this bull run before. Historically, it wasn't sustained very long, those levels. I mean, historically, we come back up and we go on another rally, as you can see here, and here, right? So, but I also want to go look at the ADA Bitcoin valuation and the short-term bubble risk there, because it does tell an interesting story, okay? So if we go look at the short-term bubble risk on ADA Bitcoin, what you'll notice is that in terms of the extension from the 20-week moving average to the downside, we have been this low before, but not very frequently, okay? So we were at these levels back in 2019. We were actually at levels worse than this, but also at these levels back in the end of the year of 2020. Okay, so we saw a similar type move over here when at the very end of the year, ADA Bitcoin bled. We're sort of seeing that same thing happen 1 year later, all right? If I were to overlay this bar pattern from, say, that point right there, and then just sort of shift it over, you can probably see what I'm talking about. It's actually a fairly similar move. And what that would mean, if it were to continue to play out, is, there could still theoretically be more downside, but I would still look towards ADA trending back up against Bitcoin, hopefully sometime early next year, if it hasn't already started doing that. January, February, March timeframe to ultimately trend to higher levels than we've already seen. But I was just sort of noticing this sort of trend here. It looks like we had a very similar move back in mid 2020, where we were above, by August, we were actually well above the 20-week moving average in terms of the in terms of the extension from it, right? We're right here, not quite as far this time. And then we had that move back to the downside below the 20-week SMA. We're sort of seeing something similar play out today. I do think ADA will trend back up eventually, but we are still, as I said, we're still working it out at some of these lower prices as people figure out, okay, who's going to use Cardano? How long is it actually going to take for these things to get going? Because we also know the bull market's not going to last forever, right? So it's not like we can just spend forever waiting and whatnot. But look, I do think that there are a lot of things coming for Cardano. Obviously, there's a Sunday swap ISO coming in the not so distant future, and there are people already testing stuff on the the Plutus backend, these testing versions. So we'll see what comes of it over the next few weeks. I am optimistic as we head into 2022, but I think that the most concerning metric for ADA, and this goes with a lot of altcoins, not just ADA, but you always have to look at the trend against Ethereum, okay? And recently against Ethereum, it has been taking a pretty big hit, all right? I mean, it's down about 60% or so over the last couple of months. So as you guys know, I do have a larger position in Ethereum than I do ADA. I do consider ADA a hedge, though. I think ADA can outperform Ethereum at various stages of the cycle. We've seen that play out multiple times, right? We saw it outperform it here. We saw it outperform it here. It had been doing relatively well. Recently, it has come back down. Now, you should note that the current level was an area in the past that we did spend a decent amount of time at, right? This was sort of the range we spent a lot of time at back in 2018 and 2019. So let's see if we get a bounce here. In terms of the short-term bubble risk, the extension from the 20-week moving average, I mean, we are well below it. Look at this on ADAETH's valuation. It hasn't even been this bad before, okay? You can see that it was pretty bad back in middle 2019, ADAETH, also in late 2020, ADAETH. It's getting pretty low over here. So what we want to see is this turn around relatively soon and continue our journey like I was showing you, whether it comes down a little bit more and then bounces or just bounces here. This is what we would ideally like to see, because if not, then you're basically looking at an asset that's riskier than Ethereum, not giving returns that are at least on par with Ethereum. So watch the ADAETH valuation. Let's see if we can get a bounce here. The short-term bubble risk on ADAETH, meaning the downward extension from the 20-week moving average, is as low as it's ever been, right? It's never been this low before. You can just look at it on this chart. It's never been this low before. So this is concerning. We'd like to see it turn around, okay? We've seen it turn around in the past multiple times, right? It didn't bounce immediately, but we ultimately did see it eventually trend higher. We sort of saw the same thing over here. Eventually it made another move to the upside. Let's see if ADAETH can turn around in this area and put in new all-time highs as we sort of bring more and more things onto Cardano's network, or I should say things at all, because again, we have been waiting a long time. I know a lot of people are getting relatively impatient, as am I. Let's see what they have in store for us as we head into 2022. So, again, against the US dollar, I think the most concerning thing is we need to get back above the bull market support band, considering that a lot of cryptocurrencies are above the bull market support band, like Bitcoin, like Ethereum. We need to get back above it, right? I mean, we need to get back up to $1.90 to $2 in the not so distant future. At the very least, that should be attainable. I think the more difficult thing is going to be seeing ADAETH turnaround, because Ethereum is just an absolute beast right now. Okay, it's currently at 44.48, and you can see the Ether Bitcoin valuation has been doing phenomenally well as well. So if Ethereum keeps running and ADA keeps taking a back seat, then we're going to see this come back down. If it does reach these lower levels, then I would say that could present a key opportunity, because any time it's reached those levels in the past, we've normally seen a fairly sizable bounce off of those levels. Okay, so keep that in mind. Hopefully you guys like the content. If you do, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out the ITC3 stake pool. Go to staking.intothecryptoverse.com. Click on Cardano. It'll walk you through how to stake your ADA, how to earn rewards. Make sure you get your crypto to work for you. So go do that. ITC3. You can find it. I know it wasn't showing up in the Daedalus wallet before. It is showing up now after everything's been updated. So you can go stake there if you have not done so already. We also do have the Black Friday sale on the premium list. If you want access to exclusive content, weekly reports and videos, the Telegram alerts channel, Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, trading view indicators, and more, make sure you guys go check that out at the Black Friday link, which you can find a link to in the description below as well. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, click the bell icon, turn on notifications, and I will see you next time. Bye.